What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. Welcome back into the Pittsburgh Pirates franchise, and we're going to be doing another rapid fire episode here following up on our last video. So in the last video, you guys got to see us advance through the end of the playoffs, and the Dodgers ended up winning the World Series. We did win that one playoff series. However, what I felt like was really important for us to do in this offseason was get a couple of our top prospects up to the major leagues in guys like Bubba Chandler. Bubba Chandler has been huge in our minor league system, and it's time for him to make an impact on the major league team. So that's just what we did. So in right field, we now have Bubba Chandler up here, and we have appropriately put him in right field as the starter. So we've had to move some guys around. What we've inevitably had to do, though, was move on from some gap players like Johan Mieses and guys like that just simply, in my opinion, were never going to be it for the team. So we decided to move on from him. But ultimately, what we also decided to do was we decided to increase the payroll finally for this team, because as the Pittsburgh Pirates, only when they know they are going to be extremely competitive are they going to increase their payroll to a competitive amount. And even then, it's going to be a low amount compared to the rest of the league. So we're not going to get necessarily on par with what the Pirates would do, which would be in the 80s to 90s, maybe 100 mil if they're really feeling like they can get some players that they want. So we're going to be a little bit over that. But nonetheless, we decided to use the payroll that we had to fill out the roster and put the most competitive team we possibly could out on the field. So ultimately what we did here was we took the player payroll up to about $110 million, which I feel like is actually a really reasonable number for the Pirates. If they did become competitive again in the market today in the MLB, they would probably be pushing the low 100 to $110 million figure. And that's only a little bit inflated because we have a lot of front-loaded contracts. So you guys can see that next year it dips down to 87 and then 77, 71, 37. So that's kind of what I would project out to be a little bit realistic for the Pirates. So inevitably, though, we did take up the payroll about $30 million or so. And we used that money on a couple of free agents that are going to be crucial for us in this season if we want to compete for a World Series. Since we already started in the outfield, we might as well go from that direction back to our starting pitchers. And what we decided to do first was bring in Harrison Bader, who I feel like is just an upgrade over Anthony Alford. He's just a better version of Anthony Alford, a very good defensive player, very athletic, so same kind of deal with him, but he's also pretty balanced at bat. He can have a little bit of power at times, and he's not ever really realized his potential in franchise mode here, so we decided to hang on to him. We also moved Austin Meadows to center field. And the reason for this is his overall was significantly inflated in right field or left field. It would put him very high because of that power versus righties number. But reality is, I think he should keep those numbers. It's not like he's the greatest player in the world. He's certainly not excellent at fielding. He doesn't have a big arm or anything like that. And his bat is also not crazy good. So I felt like the most realistic thing that I could do with him is move him to center field. And that took his rating down to about an 81. I took his potential down to B. But nonetheless, he pretty much kept the same stats across the board, the same ratings across the board. So he's going to have the same amount of potential at the plate that he did before. He's just a little bit more of a DH type of a candidate for us. And ultimately what this allows us to do is this allows us to make sure that he's not necessarily taking a starting position away from Bubba Chandler or Travis Swaggerty, who I do want to be starting at both of those corner outfield spots. Now, there are some players up at the major league level here that we won't have up at the major league level come the season because these guys are AAA players and whatnot. They're just on our 40-man roster right now, so they're up now, but they won't be come the actual regular season. And then moving into the infield, things are going to look very much the same. I'm very confident with O'Neal Cruz at shortstop. We may look to get contributions from Termarr Johnson sooner than later, and the reason for that is that he came in as one of the best bats in all of the latest baseball draft, and I feel like we could get away with plugging him in right away because because of the fact that we gave him a good bat. And I think in real life, the Pirates probably plan to move him up through the minors very quickly because of his batting skill. At third base, nothing has changed here. Ke'Bryan Hayes is the elite third baseman that he is. Nick Gonzalez and Ji-Hwan Bae will be sharing time at second base, and Bae will also be looking to plug in at other positions as well. And at first base, we have Mason Martin, and then we took that third baseman we got last year and moved him over to first base because, again, he's more of a power type of a hitter. So we moved him over to first base. We took his potential down from A to B because, again, he's going to be more of a platoon player. So I feel like that's a little bit more realistic looking for us. And then we get to where things are interesting, and that is going to be our bullpen. And actually, don't want to skip over the catcher position yet, but we have Henry Davis and Reese McGuire. Endy Rodriguez, again, got taken from us in the Rule 5 draft. To me, that's not a surprise because every single year, anytime we have any catchers that are spare to us that we can't put on the 40-man roster that are close to, if not above a 70, they just get taken from us. So that is what it is. There's only so much we can do about it. But moving on to our bullpen, we have David Bednar still, and our relief pitchers have changed up a little bit. So we have James Karinchak here. We actually got rid of our relief pitcher, Diego Castillo, who I didn't necessarily want to get rid of, but we needed to move on from him to keep the payroll down to get the players that we got this offseason. So we moved on from him. You might have also noticed that we moved on from Miguel Sano. That was just kind of a casualty again of the payroll, and something that I felt like we needed to do in order to make our moves happen that we were doing here. And I feel like our team is in a very, very potentially competitive spot for us heading into this season. Yerry De Los Santos moves up to the Major League roster. He is going to be our number 2 out of the bullpen. And then we're filling out these positions with Jordan Holloway, Max Kranick, Luis Oviedo. And then ultimately, we're also going to fill this out with Jeff Ullman, who was a trade pickup for us. So we picked up Jeff Ullman, and he actually is supposed to be a 76 or 77 overall, very high up there, an immediate impact type of a player. So we did acquire him, but I took his rating down so he wouldn't just immediately get drafted in the Rule 5 draft, because since we just traded for him, it wouldn't let us put him on the 40-man roster. So we had to do some messing around there, but his rating will go up in short notice here. And then we're on to the biggest acquisition for us in the offseason. And this is something that I debated with myself for a little bit, but I think that, we need to have fun with it. And to be honest with you, the Pirates would be stupid if this player was there to not make the move and pull the trigger, because they're a team that could pay a player a really top-end contract. And so what we decided to do is we decided to bring in Shohei Ohtani out of free agency. So we brought him in. He's 99 overall, a potential 29 years old. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows what he's capable of. He can play at bat for us as well. But I really feel like this move is going to set us up for the most success that we could have. This is what's going to allow us to beat a team like the Dodgers in the postseason and send us on to a World Series. In addition to that, I really feel like he's honestly under-excelled for the Angels. When we look at his stats, they've actually gotten progressively worse throughout the seasons here, and that might make sense why he actually reached free agency, and he might have been injured last year considering he didn't play as many games. So 3.18 ERA in 2021 went up to a 3.35, and this last year he went up to a 4.95. His number of strikeouts went down, so I think he had to have gotten injured or something of that nature. So nonetheless, I feel like this is going to be a massive pickup for us. And again, something that, like, if the Pirates are potentially looking to compete and they have the available payroll, because they always do, they are always at or below like 50 million in payroll, there's no reason they couldn't bring in a top free agent or trade for a top player and offer them a huge contract. There's just simply no reason that they couldn't do it, because they could still get these players, pay them top dollar, and they would still be bottom 10 in the league in payroll. I said the same thing when Juan Soto was on the market. I said it whenever there's been trade talks of Ohtani. And I've genuinely said they should try to make passes to get both players, pay them more than any other team, and they'd still be bottom 10 in payroll. But again, what do I know? I'm not trying to run a team in that necessarily the same manner. I'm trying to do it a little bit more effectively and efficiently to be competitive as a team. The Pirates don't seem to really have any interest in being competitive like that. So nonetheless, that changes our pitching staff. And you guys will notice that Reynaldo Lopez is no longer here. We also moved on from him in the offseason in order to facilitate the pickup of Shohei Ohtani. So that puts Ohtani, Keller, Contreras, Priester, and then Forrest Whitley in our pitching rotation, with the potential of a guy like Solometo, who's done really good in the minors, to come up. Cameron Castilla, who was our draft pick, could potentially just jump right in the near future. Tanaj Thomas is getting up there now. We have a lot of pitching prospects that are getting up there. And the other thing to mention, and I'm not going to go through every single player, is the amount of prospects that we brought over in some of these moves, like moving on from Reynaldo Lopez and Miguel Sano and players like that. We got quite a few solid prospects to fill out the bottom of our organization, so that's going to be helpful to the team. And really, that's all this video was for you guys today. I just wanted to show you guys where we stand. And again, it's not going to be the most realistic thing at this point. I'm just trying to have fun with it. You guys can see that we're first in most categories except for power. And again, that puts us in position to compete for a World Series, a position that the Pirates are just simply not going to be in. They're going to have to get lucky. They're going to have a lot of players develop into superstar players on cheap contracts, and that's just simply unrealistic to expect from them. I don't know that we're ever going to see a World Series from the Pittsburgh Pirates again, but again, stay tuned to this franchise because you might get to see the impossible happen here with the Pittsburgh Pirates in this franchise. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, leave a like down below, comment, and subscribe. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a good one.